Defend yourself against DDoS attacks by hiding your true IP address with ExpressVPN, and visit my custom link expressvpn.com/ghilliemaster in the description to find out how you can get an extra 3 months free. Hey everyone, and welcome to another gtaonline Agents of Sabotage DLC video here on the channel. Today we'll be looking at the rest of the Dripfeed vehicles that are due to release in the near future. This will be structured like all of my past DLC Dripfeed vehicle videos, and if you are new to the channel, basically we customize each car and I talk about it briefly. Then I go into raw gameplay so you can hear how it sounds, and afterwards I discuss the handling of the vehicle and how it performs. Now this video will not cover the Iron Mule or the Titan 250D, as I've already made separate videos on those in particular. So if you want to see how those perform, then I'll leave them linked in the description down below. These are also not in any particular order, so don't take this as the first vehicle that I show here being the first one to release. But without further ado, let's get into the first car, the Coupe D10 Pursuit. This was one of the main pieces of eye candy from the Agents of Sabotage DLC trailer, and it's an expensive one at that, running you $5.6 million or $4.215 million if you manage to get the trade price unlocked. That's not cheap in the slightest, even with that trade price. But for customization, it's got a lot of the same options that are on the regular Coupe D10, nothing too out of the ordinary here. The police aerials on this car are a bit different compared to the other cop cars though, but as far as everything else goes, it's mostly just the Coupe D10 with extra cop car parts to it. And the liveries are also mostly the same. Nonetheless, it's still cool that we are finally getting a modern cop sports car. To no one's surprise, it's got the same handling as the Coupe D10, which means terrible handling but great top speed in a straight line. You'll wipe out in this car a lot for sure. It's really only good in a straight line performance-wise. Anytime you have to take turns, you have to slow down so much because it just does not have any grip. It spins out so easily. Moving on, what do you get when you cut the D10 in half? Well, it's the Coupe D5, of course, based on the mid-2000s Corvette. This is just a nice looking car in general. It's got some decent customization, nothing that outrageous, but enough to make your car stand out from someone else's. You're not going to be getting the Jester RR wide body treatment when it comes to customization. It will run you about $1.7 million though, so it's a little expensive for a regular sports car. Now, if you are a fan of the older Need for Speed titles, you'll notice a certain livery for this car called Bounty Hunter Detailing. This is the Cross Corvette livery, which is a very cool nod to those games. I'm very glad they put this in here. One thing that I absolutely despise about the Coupe D5 though, that annoys me every time I look at it, you cannot paint the roof on this car. It's always stuck with that black color that doesn't match the black paint job that you can apply to the car. So it just always sticks out and looks awkward. And it would actually stick out a lot more with any other color aside from the color I went with, which is just black and white. I don't know why they went with that decision to not let us paint the roof. At least give us an option to have a primary or secondary color on it. That's just an oversight to me, and honestly, it almost ruins the car. The Coupe D5 fortunately handles a lot better than the Coupe D10 does. It's almost a night and day difference, actually. To me, it feels a lot like the regular Coupe, just with a better top speed and better acceleration. You still do have to be careful, though, because just like the regular Coupe from 2013, the back end does kick out very fast if you try to take a turn going too fast. To tell you the truth, I wish they would have given us a cop variant of this car over the D10, because Then with the Cross livery, we could really have Cross's Corvette. In terms of sports cars though, I don't think this is blowing away any of the top picks like the Italia GTO. I would say it's maybe in the upper mid-range of sports cars, but those are just my thoughts based on driving it here. I could be completely wrong. If you're on the Xbox Series X or PS5, this vehicle isn't technically drip feed since it's available for completing the Tier 4 challenge in the career progress, but even then at this point in time, no one can get the Tier 4 done without an update to the event week, so in the end I guess it is technically drip feed. But when it does release, it will cost just under $1.9 million. The Firebolt ASP is in the off-road class, which is kind of surprising because everything about this car screams muscle class to me. The Yosemite is another truck in the muscle class, so it wouldn't be that strange if this was also in the muscle car class. Anyways, for customization, it's got quite a few things you can do to it. I decided to make mine more simple because I was going for the Fast and the Furious truck look. The nobody comes here for tuna truck, if you will. It does have the livery to match the white Los Santos Customs livery. If you are on next gen, it also has an HSW upgrade that you can apply to it. I, however, can't access that on PC until they release the next gen content for PC. So just know that it will be much faster with that upgrade on it if you are on Xbox Series X or PS5. You probably noticed that the engine sound on this vehicle is exactly the same as the Dominator ASP, the Firebolt ASP, Dominator ASP. Makes sense, I guess. It's hard to say if this will top the Monstrosity in terms of HSW off-road vehicle performance. I think the Monstrosity might still have an edge over this, but at least with this truck, you do have the much longer wheelbase, so you aren't going to be spinning out as easily like you would with the Monstrosity. Now for our last police vehicle of this DLC, we have the Outreach Faction, a cop variant of the Willard Faction, obviously. In terms of cop car prices, it's on the cheaper side, but still very costly at $4.15 million or $3.1 million with the trade price unlocked. One cool thing about this cop car that you can only do on this cop car though, is you can put hydraulics on it, just like the Lowrider Faction. So we have a police car with hydraulics now. That alone might make it worth its price tag for some people. The liveries on this are also unique to this car, it seems, or at least some of them are. I didn't go with anything too crazy on this one. I just kept with the black and white color scheme though, added a livery, changed the police lights up, added a push bar, and then called it a day. One thing you probably noticed compared to the other police cars, this one has a different siren tone. None of the other ones you can have this siren tone on. And I really wish the siren tone was something that we could change to our liking as part of like the police equipment customization, and they just gave us a few different options to choose from. Perhaps that will come in the next update. I thought when they mentioned that we were getting police siren options that that's what we were going to be getting, but turns out that was just the ability to turn your siren off while still having the lights on. But I guess that does give the faction police car another point for uniqueness because it really doesn't win in any other categories for performance. You're not doing police chases with this vehicle, it's just far too slow. It handles and performs like the regular Benny's Lowrider Faction from many, many years ago. In other words, not very good. Our final aircraft of this DLC is the Duster 300H, coming in at a price of $1,020,000 or $765,000 with the trade price. And you might be thinking to yourself, wow, that's really cheap for an aircraft. Yes, it is, and you certainly get what you pay for with this because it's just not that good. This is the reason why I didn't really cover this in its own video, because it just doesn't have a whole lot to it. I mean, it's got a good deal of liveries, you can put countermeasures on it, just normal aircraft customization options, There are machine guns, so you can weaponize it, and we'll talk about those after the gameplay segment because I do have a few things to say about those. Surprisingly, you can't put bombs on this, which is kind of weird. I'm sure it will serve some kind of use in the upcoming drip feed missions for Oscar Guzman, but I just don't see it being any use elsewhere. Yeah, the machine guns on this plane are basically the Akula helicopter machine guns. I looked them up in the game files and they're almost identical, which means they are completely awful damage-wise. They are much, much, much weaker than even the dogfighter MGs that you find on the other planes that we have. I don't know why they wouldn't just copy and paste those over. They copy and pasted the Akula MGs, but why not copy and paste the MGs that are already on other planes that work fine? If anything, this plane should have way more DPS in its machine guns because of what it lacks in mobility and other armaments like bombs. I just don't see any world where you would rather buy this over the Seabreeze, which is amphibious, a two-seater, and has both better machine guns and bombs for only like $50,000 to $100,000 extra. Not to mention it's also way better performance-wise. Anyways, getting a bit carried away here with this plane. Expect a rebalanced video to be made on this plane shortly after it launches is what I'll say. I already have some ideas for it. And for our last true vehicle in this DLC, we have one of the most customizable cars in the update, the Uranus Law Speed. Yes, we finally have a Uranus in GTA 5. This is in the Sports Classics class and will cost you $1.14 million. And it's gotta be the most customizable vehicle in the whole DLC, I think. You can change a lot about this car and make it look almost entirely different from its stock version. I decided to make mine kind of a rally version, but I did want to put some of the more wild customization options on just to show off some of the different things you can do to this car. So I got the rally fog lights, the roof lights, the insane triple spoiler on the back, which looks kind of ridiculous. This is just one of those cars that is very fun to pick up and customize. And the $1.14 million price tag isn't all that bad, honestly. We've definitely seen cars a lot more expensive than it with next to no customization. Gesture RR wide body. Not only is this car just packed full of customization options, but it's also not bad to drive either. Dare I say, it's one of the nicest sports classics to drive. I seriously think it might have a shot at competing with some of the top cars in the sports classics class, with HSW off, of course. It's obviously not going to be competing against HSW vehicles. Overall, though, definitely a solid vehicle. But you thought the video was over. No, we do have one more vehicle. And it so happens to be one of the vehicles of all time coming to the game in the near future, the Taco Van. That's right, at a price of $345,000 or $258,750 with the trade price, you will be able to finally own the Taco Van. I'm assuming this will be a part of some new mission that we're going to be getting. Maybe we're finally getting a food truck business in GTA Online. Jokes aside, I don't really know what this is going to be used for when it does come out, but it is coming. And I think you guys already know how it handles, so I'm not going to waste your time there. But those are the drip feed vehicles coming in the near future to GTA Online as part of the Agents of Sabotage DLC. And we might even get our first one tomorrow when the new event week rolls around. Let me know what your favorite car is down in the comments. Which one are you most excited for? And if you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, feel free to leave a like as well as subscribe to my channel for more GTA Online content. I also want to give a huge shout out to all of my channel members for your support. If you'd like to become a member for some exclusive perks, you can either use the join button or the link that's down in the description. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.